my own hometown. Stranger.
Howdy folks, Little John here. You can see we're in the kitchen today, knocking up a bit of a kit brew, and a split of kit brew. Basically what I'm looking at today is throwing together a cheap batch of kit beer that's still going to be decent to drink without going to a lot of excess, and trying to keep the cost down. Yeah, reality is with home brew, you know, most brewers get into brewing their own beer because they want to save money. You know, going out and you're buying, you know, a carton of beer for the best part of $50, you know, minimum. And yeah, people get sick of doing that, so they want to make it. They want to make it themselves. They want to do it cheaper. So reality is, probably for 99% of brewers, that's their entry to home brewing. Let's make some cheap beer. So yeah, so they start off by making cheap beer. They go and they buy the basic ingredients. They go and buy a tin. Yeah, and this sort of things. Yeah, most people's introduction to home brew. Coopers. Yeah, everyone knows Coopers. It's well known. Yeah. People go, they generally buy a Cooper's kit from off the shelf at Big W or, you know, Woolies, wherever. Yeah, so I'll generally start off with something like that. The Cooper's lager, because the reality is most people are drinking lagers on a day-to-day basis, so that's the kind of beer they're going to go and make. So they get their can, it tells them they're throwing a kilo of sugar with it, so they go out and they buy a bag, you know, of dextrose. Yeah, or worse, they can't buy a bag of white sugar. But yeah, that's quite often, yeah, most brewers' first step into brewing. They do that, they follow the instructions, they put the pack of kit yeast in with it, they stick it on the shelf out in the garage, yeah, generally in the middle of, in the first week of January, because the missus bought them the kit for Christmas because they've been talking about wanting to save money on their beer. And so they're brewing with, half the amount of, at least half the amount of juice they should be having, and depending on where they are in the country, it's anywhere from 28 to fucking 4,000 degrees, and that doesn't come out real good. Yeah. At that point, a lot of brewers stop. But a lot of guys go, okay, well, what can I do if I change it and whatnot? They play around, they introduce things, but there are ways of taking that without going to too much effort and making a decent beer. For the guys at home, if you wanted to make a cheap beer, without much effort, this what I'm going to show you today is a good way of doing it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make one batch. I'm going to make up one batch of beer. I'm going to split it two ways. Doing one cheaply and one with spending a little bit more money, but both options are still cheap. But just what I'm looking at is that once it brews out in 4 to 5 weeks time, sit down and do a taste test and see the difference between the two, and what difference just that little bit extra dollars will make to your brew. So what I'm starting with is homebrew lager. That's going to be our base. Now there's a lot of conjecture that this is made by Coopers, and I don't know whether that's true or not. And whether it is doesn't really matter, because it's not Coopers. It might be made by Coopers, but it's going to be the dregs. It's going to be stuff off the end of the kettle. It's going to be the scrapings off the side that were burnt or whatever. I mean, there's a reason why it's going to be in the home brand tin, because it's not the same quality as that. Don't kid yourself that it is. That gear is not the same as that. Right? But talking dollars, that cost me, I think it was $8.23 from my local Woolworths. You can get them for $7 when they're on sale, and I've seen people get it on sale and they go absolutely nuts and buy heaps of them. But so that's what we're using. So I said about $8.23. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to brew that up and split it. And what I'm going to do is, one batch I'm going to use BE1. Now, this is not much better than just using straight up dextrose. It's dextrose with some maltodextrin in it. So it will aid the body and the head feel a little bit. But this is the first stopping point for most brewers once they step up from just the straight dextrose. Not really realising that they're not really doing a hell of a lot to step up anyway. But that's what I'm using. I just picked that up. I think it cost me, I think I paid $5.10. It was on sale. Yeah, $5.10. Normally it's $6. Yeah. So $8.23, $6, $14.23, and that's all really, the base of that brew. Now, what I'm going to do with the other half is I'm going to use malt. Obviously it's just preferred sugar. That's what beer's made from. Beer's not made from dextrose, it's made from malt and barley, which is what that is. Right? So I'm going to be using the light dry malt and just a little bit of the dextrose. About half a kilo, so 1 box of that in the half batch. You normally use 1 kilo in a full batch because it's going to be the half. And I'll use about 100 grams of dextrose in that as well. Okay. Now, that light dry malt costs $8 normally. So, for your full brew, 2 boxes of that, $16. If you're going to go and buy it from your home brew shop, you're going to pick it up for 12 to 14 bucks a kilo, so a little bit cheaper. But for the sake of today, we've gone to Big W, $16. So we're doing that. We're at $24.23. Still not too bad for a batch of beer, even if we allow $3 for caps and sugar when we're priming. We're still under 27 bucks. We're looking pretty good at the moment. Okay? But that on its own is going to make a reasonably average sort of beer. We want to just boost it a little bit. And again, without spending money. Well, not a lot of money. So what we're going to do, we're going to add just a little bit of hops. What I've got over here, I've got 2 pots of water, 2 litres in each pot, going to be 1 for each brew. And what I'm going to do is put a little bit of our sugars from each batch into each of those pots. So, and I'm going to boil that a little bit, and then I'm going to boil some hops in there. Now, I'm not using a lot of hops. What I'm going to do with the BE1 batch, I'm going to go with a little bit of Amarillo. Very common, well-known American hop. Okay, now, hop pellets from your home brew shop, going to cost you $8 to $10 per 100 grams. Now, all I'm going to use today is 20 grams, so at most $2 worth of hops. Okay, so I'm going to pop in 200 grams of each of my sugars, depending on which brew it is, into the pot. And I'm going to get the hops in there, and I'm going to boil down hops for 10 minutes. You've seen me do videos before where I'll steep the hops. Today I'm actually going to boil the hops. I need to boil this malt anyway, but I'll boil the hops. Okay, so I'm going to get that happening. I'm going to cut the cameras off and come back once that's done. And we'll continue on from there. Okay, so our pots are on. 2 litres of water in each. And the first pot, which is going to be for our bottom line cheap brew, is we're going to do 20 grams of the Amarillo. I'll just quickly weigh them up. That's all we need. 20 grams there. And I'm just going to pop them in. I said, now that's just on a gentle boil there. 2 litres with the BE1. Now, ideally when you're boiling or steeping hops, you want to do it in malt, not in just the sugar. But with this brew, this is what we're doing, so we're keeping the cost down. We're not using the malt, so this is the way. That's just the way we're going. And I said, not ideal, but it will do the job. It's going to give us a result we're after. So the second batch, we're going to go for just a little bit more punch. I'm going for 25 grams of glacier. And as I said, that's 200 grams of the light dry malt. So it's our standard, 10 to 1 malt water mix for the hops. Okay, now they're going to boil away for 10 minutes while we get the rest of the brew happening. I'll go and grab the fermenter and we'll start getting our base together. Okay, so I got my fermenter. Now of course this is all clean and sanitised. It's just been soaking in sodium bicarbonate, so it's nice and clean. So I grabbed my can of the brew, which has been sitting in the sink just for a little bit. Probably not as long as I would like, but that's alright. We'll be able to dig everything out of it. And that's always a good tip for anyone. Sit your can upside down in a sink full of hot water for 10-15 minutes before you want to open it, and it just makes it a little bit easier to get the extract out. It softens it up a little bit. Let's get that straight in. I'll scrape everything out of there that we can. Don't want to leave anything behind. Yep. Now you can rinse that tin out, just get some boiling water, put in there, rinse it out. I'm not going to worry about it today, simply because we're knocking these brews down the way I'm going to. I don't want to be getting too much boiling water in here because I'm going to have this stuff going in as well from the hops. So I'm just going to mix this up from now just with cold water, and I'm going to bring it up to 20 litres. And then once it's all nice and mixed together, I will transfer that into 2 smaller fermenters, and then we'll get the hops in. So I'll do that, and we'll come back and have a look as we go on. Okay, so we've split 20 litres of just the home brand lager tin and water, and we put into the 2 fermenters here, so there's 10 litres in each. Now, hot boil is finished. Now, it finished 10 minutes ago. It's boiled for 10 minutes and it's been sitting there for 10. I turned the heat off. It's a little bit longer than I would prefer, but it's all good. So now I'm just going to weigh out the rest of our sugars for each batch. So for the first batch, which is the BE1, we need another 300 grams. We've got 200 already in the hot boil, so we need another 300 grams, which is there. And we'll just pop that into the hop mix. give it a mix. Now this is going to be easier than trying to put it into the fermenter and stir it in, because it's not going to really dissolve real well. So you can pop it in there, give it a quick stir. Doesn't take much. It doesn't matter if there's a few lumps or anything left of this, because they will just ferment out. But we do want to get as much of them out as you can. Alright. And just tip that whole lot straight in there. Hops the whole lot, no problem. You don't need to filter them out or strain it or anything, that's not a problem. Okay, and the other pot is the remainder of our ½ kilo of dry malt. Well, we don't need to weigh that because it's a fresh and open ½ kilo packet. And same thing, straight in. Now, this will be a little bit more difficult to get to dissolve, but it'll get there. Okay, so we've got some hops in there. For some added flavour and a little bit extra nose on the brew as well. That 10-minute boil with the extra 10 minutes steep will really bring out the flavour of these hops, which is what we want. We're not looking at this point for aroma or we don't want the hop note. We want the actual flavour. We want to boost this beer a little bit. Now, given these are half batches, these are a reasonable size hop addition, and we possibly could have dropped them down by half, but it's all good. Now both these batches have had a good mix and a good aeration. They've got a good stir. When I was mixing the original tin in, they've had a drop from the main fermenter down. Now I've got 12 litres in each, and we might just throw another litre in both. 13 litres. I'll be a bit on the light side body wise, so that's okay. Lagers obviously should be a bit lighter. And we don't want to push any more than that because that's going to not going to be a lot of head space in there. And they're good. There's a little extra in that one. So, I haven't got my hydrometer here, so I can't take a hydro reading. That's alright, I'll get a hydro reading on both of these before I put the yeast on, and I'll stick that in the comments. That'll be down below what we did. But before I do that, now, so these are ready to go. They're ready to pitch. Now, quick chat about yeast on these. Obviously, if we're trying to keep things cheap, our first up best option is to use the yeast off the can, which is this fella. 5 grams of brewing yeast. Now, we know that 5 grams isn't really enough. We've got 13 litres of beer. We really should be having somewhere around 13 grams of yeast. But given that we are working on the basis of a cheap brew, I'm going to throw the kit yeast into that one. Now, I'm going to do a rehydration on both of these yeasts to just get the best out of them. And again, I won't show that. There's other videos on rehydrating yeast, you can see how to do that. So, basic yeast on that one. Now what I'm going to do, with the other one is obviously we're spending a little bit more money on this, and I'm going to be brewing these at ambient in my garage, and as luck would have it, winter's finally kicked in, and it's sitting in the low teens to mid-teens in my garage at the moment, sort of dropping down to about 13 overnight, up to about 16 during the day. That's going to work really nice with the kit yeast. It'll work fine in those temperatures and stay reasonably clean and still do the job. But the other one, because we are brewing a lager, I'm going to actually throw a lager yeast on it. Saf Lager S189. It's a Swiss lager yeast. A bit more tolerant of higher temperatures, so it'll be fine up to that 15 degrees without throwing any nasty sort of flavour. Now, obviously, again, working on keeping things a little bit cheaper, ideally we'd be throwing 2 packs of yeast in. For the sake of what we're doing today, I'm only going to use half a pack. I'm going to rehydrate it, but I'll only use half a packet. So it will be the equivalent of 1 pack of yeast into the fermenter. And again, if you want to go and look at the 2 versus 1 pack of yeast videos and experiment and tastings on that, you'll see what, why that is a valid point and why I would normally do the 2. But we're only going to do that, the equivalent of the 1 packet. So that will be, actually, no we're not. I'm going to throw the whole thing in. Ideally, you would use 2 packets of the lager yeast, but I'm going to throw 1 packet in there. So it's going to be, it's 11.5 grams, so it's around that 1 gram a litre pitch, and we'll throw that in. So just to recap on what our brews, what the 2 brews are, and the difference. I said the difference on cost. So we started off with the homebrew lager tin, so at $8.23 for the batch of beer. First filler we're doing, which is the BE1. As I said, 1 packet costs $6. I've only used half of it today, but in a full brew, $6, $14.23. We've used the kit yeast. 20 grams of hops, or it actually would have been 40 grams. We've used 20 grams in this batch. Those hops are going to cost you a couple of dollars. So it's somewhere around $16 to $18. You allow for your bottle caps and some dextrose for priming. This batch is coming in under $21. $21 is your upper bracket, and you're probably sneaking down closer to $19. It's damn cheap. $19. That's 2.5 cartons of beer. You're looking at $8 a carton. You can't complain about that. You can't complain. $8. So we'll see how that goes. But that's $8. $8 a carton. Like I said, we'll say 20 bucks all up. This fella, okay, we've gone a little bit higher. We've got our $8.23 tin. We've gone for some malt. In this case, 1 packet. As I said, full batch you'd be using 2. You'd be using a kilo, which is going to get you, like I said, run you at $14 to $16. 14 bucks if you can go and buy it from your home brew shop. 16 bucks if you're stuck at Big W. If you're lucky enough to get it on sale like I did today, I think I paid about $6.20 for it. So we'll say $14, $8.20, 22 and a bit with the tin. Now your hops, again another $4, $26, and your yeast. Now you're going to pay about $8 for your yeast, so you're at 34. Say $3 for priming and caps, $37. So 37 bucks. That's almost twice the price of the other one. But still, 37 bucks for 2.5 cartons of beer. Yeah, it's $15, $16 a carton. Again, it's cheap as chips. Okay, so it can be done. It can be done cheap. These are going to be drinkable beers. Exactly how drinkable we'll see in a couple of weeks' time. Alright. So as I said, I will rehydrate the yeast. I'll pitch on these, do the hydro samples. That'll be down in the comment. The recipes will be down there in the costings below. Gravity details, all that sort of stuff. As I said, I'm going to brew these out in the shed. They'll brew for 2 weeks. I'll bottle them up. I'll let them go for 2 weeks to carb. Might take 3 weeks in the winter. So, yeah, 5 or 6 weeks from now, I'll be able to pull them out and we'll have a taste test, and we'll see how they go. And it's going to be interesting for me to see. I haven't made a sheep kit brew for quite a while. So I'm probably pretty much as interested as anybody else to see how it goes. And that's it. So that's her. So I'm going to wrap this up now, do the rest of it, and see you in a few weeks. So yeah, like I said, if you got any questions on the process or anything, stick them down the bottom. Hit the subscribe button down there if you haven't. Okay. Like I said, there's plenty of other videos there available as well with regards to yeast and the rehydrating the yeast, and yeah, how much yeast you should be using and whatnot. Okay. So that's it. That's us for today. Cheap beer, easy, good. Till next time. Good brewing.